relating to the recent meetings of the Ewa Neighborhood Board. And it's very concerning, and dealing with order and decorum and being able to really focus on the needs of the community. And my feeling is that, you know, the commission, we need to reach out to assist the neighborhood board in fulfilling the commission of the neighborhood board system and to fulfill the duties to which they have been elected to. There have been videotapes and inquiries presented to our office that, you know, clearly incidents that have affected the board's ability to function. So I felt it was very necessary to bring this, according to the neighborhood plan, to the commission for their review, with hopes that there will be an initiation for the hearing process to consider imposition of sanctions. And in my memo, and it is really about 5 or 6 pages, I don't think I need to read it specifically, but you know, it brings to light the areas of the neighborhood plan that's in violation. There's a summary of the actions that have been taken and the conduct of the meetings in the past 3 months. There's a summary, and there's also Honolulu police reports that have been brought forward for your review, and all of this documents the conduct of the neighborhood board in the past 3 months. Then my memo also goes into citing the sections of the plan that is pertinent, affecting the board, sunshine law, and then it goes into specific violations according to each meeting, October 8th, November 12th, and December 10th. And so what we have today is also some sections of the videotape that we will be presenting to give the commissioners, you know, firsthand information about these activities of the board. So anyway, I present to you this memorandum attached with the Honolulu police reports, and we do have a couple of testimony, written testimony that have been submitted by the community members.
Oh, sorry.
And also our neighborhood board members. If you have any questions, and first you can proceed with Brian showing the videotapes at this time. Would that be appropriate unless you have other questions?
Well, unless anybody has any objections, I think now would be a good time to show the video. Brian, what exactly will the video be?
Okay, this is going to be from the November meeting. November 12th. And on the memo, this is starting at item number 5. And basically I just picked this about a 9-minute stretch because there were multiple violations, alleged violations by different people in that period.
Also, this is a sampling of some of the allegations.
Yeah. We don't really have time tonight to show everything that's listed in the memo, but we wanted to give you guys a little bit. So,
Hey, we're not a recess, because you know what? You're not getting anything done anyway. You guys gotta start, okay, being a neighborhood board instead of being individual, whatever it is that you guys want to call yourselves. I want to be heard individual. Thank you. Volunteer. I witnessed at a May meeting a removal process of Mr. Belford, who was sitting in this audience, and it was stated on camera, for all of you that are applauding, that Chair Favela said he received a letter from Ombo, that Mr. Belford, what did this have to do with Mr. Belford? I didn't interrupt a bit. I haven't had it for a minute. Out of order. I'm not out of order. NCO representative, you just witnessed another sunshine law violation. Thank you, okay? Yeah. Other people reported 1 minute to speak. I was not. Again, I was at sunshine law training 2 weeks ago, and Mr. Mick said just that.
We're running out of time right now. We must go on this agenda. Nola, I want to go ahead and move into next month's agenda. And anyone who withdraw, I withdraw the statement. I will want to go ahead and move it on to the next agenda because we're running out of time. People need to go home. Thank you.
So I need to comment on that motion just made. I need to comment.
You withdrew the motion.
I'm going to just do one thing, simple here, one thing. I'm not going to speak more than 3 seconds. Put the YouTube down of the June 8th meeting with this chair and how he treated Metro Belford. That's all I'm asking. I'm asking Governor that the minutes put the YouTube address on. There was no decision. Put the YouTube address on. Can you realize that residents of community concerns, please? The address of the YouTube in the minutes. Anybody has any residents of community concerns? Yes. Community concerns? I have a community concern, Chair, Okay. I have a community concern. We just went to a new topic. Are you going to not let me speak again? Here we go. My community concern is really just asking for all of you to listen, and if you would like to be treated, again. I'd like my minute restored, please. I won't interrupt you. I won't interrupt you. I've been exercising NCO representative my allotted time for Sunshine Law, and I've done it with due diligence to not offend anyone here. I'd just like to ask, under community concerns, Secretary Dolan, would you please put the YouTube address, which I will provide for you after this meeting, and put it, my request is that that YouTube address be put into tonight's meeting minutes so that everyone here in this audience can see that the complaint of the Office of Information Practices, the Office of Information Practices, not Tom Berg, has asked the chair to respond to some allegations that have been in violation of Sunshine Law. Not me, not anyone on the board. All right, all right, okay, next, state your name and the community concern.
Hi. My name is Sabina Okariko. My community concern is everyone should be a resident of Ewa Beach to be on the board. Is that correct? Correct. Okay. They are legal city residents. And from my understanding, I've been a long-time friend of the Lopez family, and Celeste and Roger, you know that. Okay? And it really startled me to know that your daughter, Marcy and Nagata LaCuesta, does not reside in Ewa Beach. It's my understanding that she lives in Mililani. So I'm asking, don't speak for your daughter, I'm talking to your daughter. Yeah, I'm talking to your daughter. Do you reside in Ewa Beach? Okay. Okay, but, so you don't live in Mililani. You don't live in Mililani with your family. Okay, that was my concern. And then I want to know if it's, that, I don't know, maybe it can be investigated or something, because that's my understanding, that I know that she doesn't live in Ewa Beach. Okay, the board. Okay, all right, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Steve, there is a process with a new plan. All she has to do is sign an affidavit, swear under oath that she lives here, and the matter is settled. And that's all she has to do.
You know, I have a community concern right now. Is that why a lot of people are looking over the wall at Ocean Point, looking into my home? Is that why is that why that people, I don't know how they're getting my home phone number because it's not published and they're calling my home, and only certain people have my home phone number. Nobody does. Okay, because they can't get my number. I work for a phone company and I made it secure. Nobody can have a phone number. Now, I'm just wondering, and you know, why?
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair, we're into community concerns. If you guys don't have anything constructive, or just criticism, then why let's move on. You guys don't have anything worthwhile to talk about, except for people that wish you could ordinance. Okay, community concerns, appreciate it. That's what you say. But criticize the board members, and I don't think that's criticizing the board. This is board business when we're talking about. It's not a concern. Concern is something substantial in the community that we can deal with. Instead of coming to everybody. That's what things you guys got. Flying up water. You're trying to disseminate problems in the community. Come on, get ready.
Sorry. Can you hear me? I know you've been a family friend of ours, not for just my auntie or whatever. This question was pointed to me, yes. I'm still living there. I'm 29 years old. Sad to say I still live with my mom, but I come and go as I please. You not see me there? It's not paranoia. I've been there when people have been calling the house asking questions. Just like Kimberly Pine, people want to know where she lives. You don't call her being paranoid. So, and I'm sure you know where we live because you used to live right behind us. I don't know. I know your sister. Okay. So, you guys used to live right behind us. So that's my answer. And if you guys want to investigate, so do it. So be it.
All right, next person. Speaker.
There's a big comment. I just have a comment. No complaints, no nothing. But actually, I do have a complaint. Because I'm really new to this. I only watch you guys on TV. I've never seen all of this. I've been to one or two just sit in and, well, I don't know what's going on. But anyway, my comment is, there's things in the community. I hear you guys talking about it. You guys are a community. I'm the Oahu Board. When there's things going on in our community, see my library. I didn't see anybody, but I didn't even know. I walked down the street, I see the man who I see her holding signs which says and family. So I call my family because I want to save this library. Okay, the beaches, whatever. I don't know what you guys are talking about, the barriers. But you know what? Our bush is beautiful. My kids can enjoy it. That's my comment. I come here and I don't know the process, but I just talked to two wonderful people outside because my question was, how did you guys get on this board? That was my question. And they said there's a mailing list. I wanted to know where is that mailing list. I'm a voter. How come I didn't get it? Somebody missed me. So what I'm saying is, I put my name on that paper and I checked. I want to be like, see where I see. No, you know what? There's nothing interesting. Look, there's nobody getting involved. It has to come at this. Nobody volunteers to get involved. Okay, yeah, but you guys are griping about whatever we do. On this board, you guys gripe about. No, we are not. Only a sit down. Out of order, Mr. Milner. No, but what I'm saying, because I don't know what you guys do, what does it do.
Excuse me, hold on. Can you please, board members, Celeste and she was trying to call point of order, nobody could hear them because of the volume over there. So can we just continue on the community concerns? Okay, and please be orderly, Mr. Wilder, and the rest of the board members, please, thank you. Respect the order, and I will thank you.
Okay, we're going to jump to the December meeting.
How much more video time-wise?
5 minutes. Oh, that's the next meeting. on the memo.
Who was giving the presentation?
Item number 2 is introduction of board members.
I believe the word in the word would be, I'm sorry, number 2.
Yeah,
On item number 3, usually our agendas would give a descriptive of who's making a presentation. I've made efforts to find out on tonight's agenda who will be making the presentation. And I'm going to ask you, Chair, the presentation tonight is 10 minutes before.
Okay, thank you. The point taken, this was requested, it was done by through the commission with Steve Norner. So, the point is taken and is noted. So, okay, can we continue? What about I hear, Mr. Chair? I'm sorry, we want to stop. We want to know what the presentation is going to be. Because we have further. I don't know what's going on either, Mr. Oba. Well, let's get a. So we can do this in the Mr. Well, I mean, Mr. Chair, we're running a sensible community that we have to have some input as to what's going on. We can't have everybody stand up and make presentations, please.
Point about it. I did call the commissioner's office and they did stipulate that they have no idea what this conduct of board meeting is about. They said it was you had put it in and you had not stipulated with them on what this is about.
Okay, you know, I'm going to stop you right here. Okay, I'm tired of this slandering stuff.
So all you do is tell us what's about.
It wasn't me.
Who said it wasn't that?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we dispense with the statement of the board presentation. Okay.
It says in number 3, it says conduct of board meeting. That's what I'm going to be reading out of the neighborhood plan for this board and other boards too.
Mr. Chair, we don't need no secondary education on this topic. We're all about, we all know the manual, the neighborhood board manual is, and we don't need no granddaddy to come up and speak of this board. We don't need no grandpa to come up here and tell us as adults the decorum of this meeting tonight. Okay, I'm not going to understand before you can continue.
There's adequate staffing for what we can do is we can go ahead and try to monitor that intersection and take appropriate action if we see violations.
Signage, I wonder if that would be used.
The signage would be probably something the Department of Transportation would deal with.
You know, I know you're wishing all of us a safe and happy holidays, but for you and your officers, we wish you a safe, because you guys are out there in the field, you know, through this holiday season, and you guys out there in this time, but you guys have a safe holiday also. Thank you very much. Thank you, ma'am. I just want to let the community know, when we have our presentation coming up to give stats and statistics from the water supply to the city, to the police, to the fire department, have some bit of courtesy. They're here giving us the information that we need to gather for the community. So show some respect for one another out here. Thank you. Mr. Chair, I understand you, Mr. Chair. I'm looking at these statistics, and I cannot conceive of, you know, even the previous officer, he brought before the committee, the board, his statistics, and now we see the weed. But these statistics really don't jive. You look at the we and C 09 versus 08.
I got a real problem here, right here.
Mr. Chair, I got the floor, please. Come on.
I seriously am having a second tablet taking me anywhere I'm currently in with this only detail that I have made, legal analysis report of harassment, and I don't know what that camera is. So remove it. You don't want that camera filming me, or you don't want this camera filming me, that's the camera. Go sit down.
So the question is, before you guys are doing a good job out there. I'm annoyed with this two people back there. I can't concentrate on what the heck is going on here. Watching these two, I get my name for them, but I'm not going to say them because I'm a good Christian. Okay? Does he have a right? Does he have a right to do what he's doing? That's what I want to know. Because any Joe Blow can come around, set their cameras up and do whatever they like to do. I don't think he can do that. That's my question. Can he do that? Because him doing that is totally distracting from what really should be going on here. Listening to this officer with need and seed and what's going on. I think you should turn your camera off and sit your butt down. All of the things that I want to discuss tonight, and she is right.
Public meeting is that we address comments to the chair and not to individuals, and we do expect the chair to hold the audience members to that standard. Secondly, I'm most grateful for this presentation from Ms. Sonara about the conduct of board meetings. I'll get the specific address for you, Ms. Secretary, but I would like to respectfully submit the minutes of our committee meeting, which I recorded in Ossing Park during the summer, when Mr. Nauer said that if there was no letter from OMPO, and there is in fact absolutely no letter from OMPO, so I asked this board to ask Mary and Yasuda and OMPO if the fabrication of the letter is a lie or fact, and given that Mr. Nauer stated in our public meeting.
Hold on. Right now we're having an argument about this camera thing again. Can somebody go outside and see me and shit and don't get into an argument or... Okay? Alright, you know what? I'm tired of this. Either the camera's going to be removed or I'm going to end the meeting early. This is kind of an argument. Okay? Well, I just see, doesn't matter. I asked the gentleman to the camera to be, courtesy to his feelings. So they want to be courteous to other people's feelings, same thing now. Well, I just saying, this time, you know what I mean? So, you know what I mean?
You don't want to see them go home. That's the rule. This is a public meeting, and anyone can film it or take recording. If you don't want to be on camera, go home. Go home. I'm tired.
Is that a statement of fact that you made in a public forum? Good night, everybody. Merry Christmas.
Do not second this, Your Honor.
Thank you guys. Good night.
I call for a vote for the adjournment, that we do not adjourn. I second that.
I'm saying the Riot Act is going to cause a big argument, so that's why we're leaving. So we're attending this meeting. I ask you to follow me, but we're going to dial 911 and have you guys escort it out. Thank you.
We're not voting on what? No, this is called sunshine. This is called transparency. I've been recording the years.
He has a right, not to be shown on the internet.
wanted to add, in addition to the recommendation you have in front of you, we also have 5 pending complaints that will be coming towards the commission dealing with the Oahu Neighborhood Board, 3 of which are from the November meeting, 1 of which is from that last December meeting. But those will have to be taken up separately from whatever action you guys take tonight.
Are you going to provide public testimony on this?
Chair, no, I wanted to ask if the chair of the commission had given permission to Mr. Belford to tape or record this meeting.
Yes, I did. Okay.
Taking testimony?
Not yet. Okay, so in order to make this portion of the meeting go smoother, I just wanted to cover some ground rules and go over what exactly the scope of tonight's meeting is and the action that may or may not be taken by the commission. So first, this is not the sanctions hearing. The sole purpose of tonight's meeting is to determine whether there is sufficient basis to initiate a hearing to determine if sanctions are appropriate. Sanctions would only be considered, if at all, after the sanctions hearing, and again, not tonight. Each party to a sanctions hearing will be provided a copy of the NCO's recommendation and will have the opportunity to respond in writing to the alleged violations. After the commission receives each respondent's response, the commission will then set a date for the sanctions hearing. At the hearing, the respondents will have the further opportunity to respond to the allegations and present witnesses and evidence in support of their respective positions. After the presentation of the case by the respondents, only then will the commission deliberate and determine whether sanctions are appropriate. Any party subjected to sanctions after the sanctions hearing who is not satisfied with the commission's determination may apply to the commission for a contested case proceeding under HRS Chapter 91. Therefore, for purposes of tonight's meeting, there will be no discussion, deliberation, or determination with respect to any sanctions that may or may not be imposed. Accordingly, please limit your testimony to the sole issue of whether the commission should initiate a sanctions hearing. Also, this meeting will not be a question and answer session. Your testimony will be accepted and considered by the commission in its determination. Again, if you choose to provide testimony, please limit your testimony to 3 minutes or less. Please direct your comments to the chair, and please refrain from using abusive language or making any personal attacks against any other person, whether they are in attendance or not. Okay, that being said, is there anybody that would like to provide public testimony? Yes, go ahead, sir.
Good evening, members of the commission and friends and people that came by just to listen. My name is Glenn O'Milda. I am a longtime resident of the Leeward area. I presently sit on the Neighborhood Board 23, and I have been a long advocate of mitigating problems and impacts in the area. I've maintained diligence in determining what the fate of the neighborhood board is. I have in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, sat on the Neighborhood Board 23. Well, even well before Neighborhood Board Ewa became, when they were just Makakilo and Ewa as one board. I have gone to every meeting. I've gone to every donor member. I've gone to every meeting since over 25 years I've been in a community, and I've recognized the issues that are in the community, and I've long talked about and concerned myself with impacts, traffic, overdevelopment, and now I sit on a board to determine the fate of those mitigations. I know there have been a lot of concerns about members of the board. Even me myself have been criticized for being over-dominant, overpowering. But I think the lack of leadership on the board, the lack of intelligence, and the lack of
Sir,
compassion on the board.
I'm going to ask you please refrain from introducing personalities or personal insults.
Okay. So I think this, for the last 3 years, I think this board has been dysfunctional. On the agenda, there's no reflection of problems that exist in the community, even in committees. No substantial things for discussion. And I think there's been politics played. There's no transparency, no fairness. As you know, the politics of Ewa and the Ewa Plains, the rail. Is that?
Wrap it up.
Okay, the rail, Ho'opili, and the movement of the Ewa development boundary. I think that plays an important part. I think it's been overshadowed by administration. I think there's politics involved. There's no transparency, no fairness. There haven't even been a discussion on those issues, and I think there's a lot to be concerned.
Thank you. Please step forward.
I thank you very much. I thank you very much for gathering here today. I know I emailed some of you, some of the commissioners, my complaints, and I was glad to get in touch with, a commissioner to address my complaint. My name is Celeste LaQuesta. I'm from the Ewa Beach Neighborhood Board. A year ago this month, back in 2008, Ewa Beach Neighborhood Board had never accomplished anything in the whole year. We had, that is true. We had Ho'opili. We had Ho'opili as a problem. We had the rail as a problem, as an issue. People within the community wanted to voice their opinions. 3 months, our neighborhood board were closed because of no key. I feel it was purposely done so we would hit our deadline. Okay, and another thing too is that, we try to work I try to work with our chair from January until September, or maybe let's say by July. And from there on, I kind of looked at it as something was going on here. And September 27th, when I got the phone call that there was barriers or other things that was going on in the in Howbush, Oniula Park, there was no sign saying that there was going to be like a reconstruction in the park for closing of the park because of heavy equipment and a lot of children running around the park. People is at the park, especially what's done on the weekend. Right there and then, I came to a conclusion that something is going on here. Something is going on. Later, I got a phone call from a union member telling me, like, I need to back him up. It's hard for me, and I tell you something, it's hard for me to back up someone that is only want to do a one-man board, not a community thing. We wanted to address CPIs to be put on the bill. We didn't have any time to put CPIs on the bill. We wanted to address a lot of things that is a big concern in Ewa Beach. We didn't have the time. And this last few months, I mean, everything was just uproar. People that you see that is doing the test, that is in the audience right now, if you go back and take a look at the videotapes from January until that time, none of those people had ever showed up at the neighborhood board. Only time people showed up at the neighborhood board is when it was on the agenda to have the chair removed. And the reason why the chair, we requested for the chair to be removed because back in September, the people came forward to ask for the chair to be removed. October meeting. Now, our chair had walked out of the October meeting because he couldn't take the pressure at that time. So I would ask, you commissioners, if you guys could really do your homework, take a look at what's going on. I care for my community. The rest of the people on the neighborhood board also care. That's why we're coming forward, and that's why I made a phone call, and that is why I emailed each and those of you that had emails on my complaint. And I humbly ask for you guys' support. It's hard for us to do what we need to do. We want to make 2010 a prosperous year for the Ewa Beach people, 96706, but right now, it's hard. It's really, really hard.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to provide public testimony?
Yes, may I?
Yeah, you may. Just to remind, please try to limit to 3 minutes.
Sorry.
Commissioner Finley will hold up a sign letting you know when you have 1 minute left.
Thank you. I felt that the neighborhood board system is my voice. That's all I have. And I just ask your help to help our board adhere to the purpose of the neighborhood system. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am. Step forward. Please state your name.
Hi, I'm Marcy Nagata, and I'm also part of the neighborhood board. And if you noticed in the November meeting, Mr. Our Chair's sister was questioning my residency, and I'd just like to clear that up. Do I need to speak louder? And I just want to clear it up that I do live with my mom. I do, however, own a house in Mililani, and I don't really like to share my personal reasons of why I'm living back at home.
That issue is not before the commission, and
Okay.
you know, as far as I know, it's been resolved or it's being resolved.
Okay, but my thing is that, you know, if you noticed on the videos, all of our community members that are going up and giving their concerns is not about the community, it's all about the board being like, we all need to be functional instead of dysfunctional. And I've emailed Mr. Brian here, Nick, to on help on what we can do, because I don't feel safe in my own community anymore. There was a lot of people yelling at me, and there was a lady from the audience said, well, how long have you lived in Ewa Beach? Well, I've been there for 25 years, 30. I've been there since I was 5. So if something could, please, and I have a family, I have 2 young children, and I'm worried.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Happy New Year, members. This could have been avoided. What is happening has been happening.
Sorry, your name, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Henry Jango. I'm from the Moko Ewa, Prior to this leadership right now, I wrote a letter prior to me taking over to the commissioner and the Office of Informational Practices. And he was supposed to respond to this letter. What is happening right now is the same thing that he was doing prior to this. What happened was he wasn't elected, but he still didn't go up to you folks and address the problem. He left it to the former chairman who left in February to address the problem to us. We dropped it because all that what is happening right now happened prior to when he had the leadership. So I'm here just to let you know that what's happening is because all people in Ewa Beach don't have a chance, don't have a voice. Community concerns, he just cuts you off. And that was the main reason I wrote to the commissioner and the Office of Informational Practices. And I didn't bring that letter with me, but he was supposed to go and see them and settle this thing, but he got voted out as the chairman and never addressed the issue or let the former chairman know what was happening. So I just wanted to bring to let you folks know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir?
I'm not so good at this.
Hello, my name is Tom Berg. I'm an Ewa Beach resident. I currently serve as the longest standing board member on Neighborhood Board 23. I've missed 5 meetings since the year 2000. So I pretty much have a good antecedent to what's going on in the community. I'd like to draw your attention to page 4 of your handout tonight. It references on the very bottom of the November 12th meeting of the conduct of the chair. Mr. Glenn O'Milda, who's here this evening, had tried to engage the council member's representative at this meeting and on the onset asked, I have multiple questions. The chair interrupted within 10 seconds and said, you can't ask multiple questions. It proceeded after the 1 minute, whereby it says here, at the end, the board members failed to correct the chair. I want to offer this into your meeting minutes. I did. Tom Berg, if you watch the video, held up a piece of paper and said, Mr. Chair, nowhere on the agenda does it say that you can ask one question, you don't have to ask a question, you can give 5 minutes of commentary, because you just saw in 2 clips tonight, 2 individuals get in front of the microphone, the timer didn't go off at the 1 minute. Why? Why did the timer go off on 1 minute in equal fashion, equal representation of fair play? I'd like to bring to your attention the neighborhood plan. I have a handout here that I would like to provide, if it could be passed out. And it outlines the fact of the AMPO-CAC Citizens Advisory Committee. In March of this year, the chair initiated to replace Scott Belford from the AMPO-CAC. Did it clandestine. You in the neighborhood plan, or the neighborhood plan, approves of that. Says the chair is the authority to remove committee members and appoint committee members in clandestine, outside of committee meetings, outside of the board meetings, and can do it one-on-one. So he replaces one member with another board member. I, as a board member, did not know of that replacement. For 2 agendas, in April and in May, Mr. Scott Belford was listed on the agenda as the AMPO-CAC delegate, as the Traffic and Transportation Committee chair. However, in March, and on April 1, where the fax transmission took place from the chair to AMPO, Mr. Belford was no longer the AMPO-CAC delegate. Why would Chair Favela, in my opinion, not place an accurate agenda before the public and people at large? That confusion in May, if you watch a video in May, I finally asked the chair, who has my vote? Who on AMPO-CAC is voting on our behalf? Our chair refused to disclose that. I find that only Kobe Lynn and Chair Favela to be only the 2 people who knew who was the AMPO-CAC delegate, to be a very, I'm going to call it a very deceitful practice that the neighborhood plan condones. I'm asking for you to take a positive amendment to that. Please don't let chairs do this again. Change the plan. Thank you.
Any further testimony? Yeah, please approach.
Good evening. My name is Scott Belford, and I am grateful for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. I have the highest regard for Oahu's neighborhood board system because I find it to be one of the best examples of representative democracy in America. And for the last 4 years, I have, in the capacity of a citizen journalist, been recording neighborhood board meetings, candidates forums, and other publicly related events, and uploading them to YouTube. With that background in mind, I have already submitted 3 pages of testimony, which are part of tonight's agenda. I would like to make I would like to add 2 things. With respect to the findings on page 5, December 10, 2009, item 1, the testimony that I've submitted to you in writing tonight clarifies that this camera was placed behind the public meeting table prior to this meeting being called to order.
This is entirely documented without editing at the HTTP address there before you. I placed a camera before the public meeting table and focused only on the specific space between the taxpayer-funded neighborhood commission secretary and the elected neighborhood board chair, because I had questions and concerns about the advice that our neighborhood board chair was receiving from the neighborhood secretary, and I had concerns about the accuracy of the minutes. There was no objection for 37 minutes to my camera being behind this meeting. I consider it reprehensible and inappropriate for me to step behind this public meeting. However, what is not called to your attention, which is astounding, is that I was told by a neighborhood board member that I am going to get, that, quote, you are going to get a broken camera, Scott, and a broken face. And the only reason I was behind the meeting table was to take my private property and point it back at the neutral, non-personal spot. In doing this, I was physically threatened, confronted. There was absolutely no call to order by the chair or the police present. And in my hopes that this would be addressed, the only response I have received so far from the Neighborhood Commission office, I'll conclude very quickly, is to be told that in future meetings, I may bring only one camera, that the chair may tell me to stop recording at any time, and that with respect to my concerns about whether I can attend next week's meeting without again being told by an elected board member that I will get a broken camera and a broken face, the only response at this point from the taxpayer-funded Neighborhood Commission office is to focus on restricting my rights to record future meetings and to tell me to call the police if I have an issue. So I hope that you will consider tonight's testimony. It was submitted to you in writing in addition to the 3 other pages, and I look forward to being available for any questions at a future meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to provide testimony?
New year, everybody. Just want to let you know my name is Craig Fivella, Ewa Beach Neighborhood Board 23. That's the reason we're here. The concern that I had, and I called Joan, when I left the board meeting and left my vice chair in October, we didn't see nothing in October's meeting, but I refer all of you, if you guys got a chance, to check our October meeting and why I had insist, very, very concerningly, to get a meeting with Brian and Joan. It was from the October meeting, not November and December. It was from October already that I knew this was escalating to get into a problem that was going to get either somebody hurt or threatened and whatnot was been happening into the in our meeting. When I left sick that evening to go home, the gentleman that was in the audience that was, you know, being kind of out of hand, I don't know his name at the time, but it's not relevant. You guys can watch the video. He also called his 2 sons to go and look for me after I left the meeting. They didn't know I was in a car and I already was leaving to go home already. I had respiratory problems. I've been having it since September of this year, last year. So I went home. So the bottom line, what I'm saying is, I was stressing to you guys, is that you guys do a little bit more research from the October meeting maybe, yeah? My concern is safety. It's not whether I'm gonna be the chair or not the chair, or whatever the situation is, and educating our board members and our new board members on the procedure on how to conduct themselves at the meeting. Yes, sometimes I'm not the best person in conducting myself too. I can understand that sometimes, but to not have the whole support from the board when I try to address something, by getting whacked from both sides, the community and the board, from my own members that supposedly had voted me in. Whatever doubts they have in me, or whatever the thing is, We should have got this in an executive meeting or a committee meeting. None of this should have played out at our board meeting. And nobody, or none of the other chairs from the other committees called any meetings besides one member on his own topics. And nobody brought up this removing or reprimanding or anything to do with conduct at any committee meeting. So, you know, my concern, if you guys can, like I said, look at the October meeting, get a whole overview of everything before you guys make the decision. My main concern is safety, and if the public will be safe at any upcoming meetings and the board members. As you could state it, some of the board members that was here. So that's what I stress to you, commissioners. If you guys can, I really appreciate it. Thank you. God bless.
Yes.
How many of your board members attended the orientation meeting and swearing in here at Honolulu College?
3, I think it was 3. I'm not totally sure. I know I was there, and yeah, 3, I think.
I was there.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
I was there.
A few more attended the October 12th and October 29th.
Sunshine.
Yeah, Sunshine.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else from the audience?
Thank you, Chair Bailey. Commissioners, Tom Heinrich again, speaking in my individual capacity. Just a couple of things that I'd like to add here. The first is specifically the agenda item. I do strongly speak in support of the Neighborhood Commission holding a hearing concerning the sanctions process. Obviously, there's a lot of material which you need to look at and then follow the process as set out in Chapter 18 of the neighborhood plan. There's something missing here, however, and I would like to call your attention to 2 sections in support of what I'm about to say that you need to take a look at as well. Because what you're looking at is the question of whether to hold a hearing, to initiate that process. But I call your attention to section 2-11-201, the general powers, duties, and functions of the commission. And then more directly, section 2-18-204, C3. And the whole point here, and there's a little step that's missing here, I think. And I call this to the attention of the commission and to Corporation Counsel, and that is at the end of this hearing process, if you will. And the difficulty I'm having is at the end. Right now, you need to take a look at something for immediate action. But at the end of this, one of the factors is the exigent circumstances relating to board conduct. You've had a lot of that, especially by what's been visually presented this evening. Here's the key. I recommend to the Neighborhood Commission that somehow you take immediate action, not on the hearing process, okay, but that you take immediate action so that the Ewa Neighborhood Board does not meet until at least a private workshop, a private session, an intervention if you want to call it that, but something is held between the Neighborhood Commission office, led by the Executive Secretary, and the members of that neighborhood board. There are past examples of this that we have spoken about. Diamond Head Neighborhood Board most immediately comes to mind because I was a participant in that at the request of then Executive Secretary Glenn Kama. So the key right now is you've got a lot of concerns that have been expressed. I would urge you to consider this evening what it is that you might do under these exigent circumstances to say basically, well, time out. There shall not be a January 2010 Ewa Neighborhood Board meeting. Ideally, there can be a February regular meeting of the board, but in the meantime, some sort of a private workshop, that intervention, if you will, be held with the Executive Secretary, the Neighborhood Commission office staff, and the members of the Ewa Neighborhood Board. Just one last quick comment, if I may, and that is, what's also troubling here is this. Clearly a training program, a conference of chairs, the discussion among chairs, etc. I'm not well familiar with in having been available to help in this type of situation. I've had a number of individual conversations with members of this board over the last 6 months, but bottom line is that does not well substitute for an organized training program, et cetera, et cetera. So we need to do that too. But I strongly urge you to consider what you might do to save time out, no additional regular meetings of the Ewa Neighborhood Board until such other action be taken. That may also accommodate then your being able to hold the hearing and get to the point then of deciding on any sanctions. Thank you.
Can I ask Tom a question?
Yes.
Okay, I was involved with the diamond situation. And how many?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Good point.
My name is Kristen Takamo. I'm speaking as a private individual. And also, I want to share a comment with, in regards to what I've been hearing in the second part of this agenda. I've been very, this is the concern that I've had even before the revise, looking into the new neighborhood plan as to the conduct of issues for the board. And during the early formation of the new neighborhood plan, I made it an issue to the workshop that was working on the new neighborhood plan to take a look into what was printed in the city charter in regards to the same topic, Article 11, Section 101. I would believe that's the article that was in the city charter. It's kind of amazing, even though I have made the suggestion to the people that were working on the neighborhood plan from way back, and I'm very happy that corporate council as well as the previous people that was working on the neighborhood plan had incorporated that particular section from the charter into the neighborhood plan. I'm thinking that what you should also look into is that how these problems are being done in the sense of your sanctions like that, how specifically it is affecting this code of standard of conduct that's also printed in the new neighborhood plan, and to see whether or not the violation of sanction can be applied to that as well. I am very disappointed that there is boards that have to go into that route, and it was my goal from way back into working as part of the neighborhood plan to stop that and to make them all neighborhood work for the benefit of their community. And I'm hoping that this commission can look into that thing and just find a possible solution to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. May I approach the, may I be recognized again?
Yes, let me make sure that everybody else has had the opportunity to speak first. Yes, go ahead, sir. And I'll come back to you.
My name is Steve Nauer. I'm on Neighborhood Board 23. I think one thing that's been overlooked in this whole discussion is that this is kind of a historical situation in that I've lived in the neighborhood for approximately almost 6 years. I've been going to meetings for 5. I've been on the board for approximately 3 or 4 years. I can't remember. Getting old. And I've seen the board meetings get progressively more partisan. Now, one of the foundations of our neighborhood plan, as I read it, is supposed to be nonpartisan. We have several members on our board that are running for or intend to run for political positions. What they've done is use the neighborhood board as a trampoline to move from there to positions, to their elected positions. And so it's gotten more partisan and more partisan as time has gone on. Now they're using it to sling mud, bring up false allegations against each other and so on and so forth. And I think that's an important consideration here, is why are they doing all this? They're doing it for political reasons, which absolutely goes against the plan as I read it. It's supposed to be nonpartisan. We're supposed to be using our time to help our community get information from the different segments of our society. It's supposed to be a conduit for information. We're supposed to all work together to provide the community with that information, ask questions, get questions answered, and so on. And I think this has been also totally lost in this partisan bickering back and forth. I think the commission should take up the complaints. They'll see where the problems really lie. And I have sent 2 emails to Mufi Hanneman, who's an acquaintance of mine. My daughter actually knows him better. Asking that the board be suspended immediately until these things can be ascertained, figured out, and so on. I think we need training. I think it's absolutely imperative that we get that. It's imperative that we get it now before anything else is done. The other thing I wanted to say, I've been in public safety for almost 45 years, okay? I know when things are getting worse. They're getting far worse. It's getting physical, it's getting, you know, property damage is starting to be, you know, is kind of the norm in the parking lot. Police are having to be called, and I really think we should do something.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to go with Mr. Robert here.
Thank you again, Mr. Chair and members of the commission. I think we cannot separate ourselves from politics. I mean, if you're going to do that, then I guess everybody has some kind of biases that somebody else is going to complain about. But I think I'm opposed to that idea that we should have a workshop for members of the board. But as you look into boards, there's also a diffusing point in that board. Whether you're going to make the chair the top dog, I mean, he sets the agenda, or whether you're going to have input from committees. I think committees play a whole new ballgame when you diffuse the power of the chair. Look, if the agenda is set by members of the board, that comes up and you hear complaints. Well, you set up the committee's agenda, they take it into the committees. Then the board, the chair don't have a aggressive agenda that he brings to him without informing the other board members. And I think that's the policy of a chair. I think that's a skill of a chair that can put agenda items with consensus of the board members, take it to the committee, and have the committee hash it out. And then you diffuse the power of the chair. You put it in committees. But this is not the case. The case is not worked out. I think it's really the agenda is driven. And again, politics plays a heavy role in Ewa. I think it's driven by politics and politicians above the grassroots concern, the community concern. I think it goes above that. And within the last 3 or 4 years, we haven't had an open and transparent and fair discussion of issues that arise within the community. I think the suppression of issues, let me be frank, the rail, Ho'opili, and the Ewa Development Plan, I think that plays a heavy political on who's driving it. I think the people of interest is driving, and it's not being brought to the community. I haven't heard, in all these years, the rail, a thorough discussion on the rail. Number 2, a thorough discussion with Ho'opili. And number 3, the Ewa Development Plans, which is 10 years old. 10 years from public review. And I have a problem with that. It's not open and fair, and it's not transparent. I think what's got to be done, Mr. Chair, is that the board members got to take a hold. Instead of the chair reserving all the power for himself and come up with an agenda that is not to the liking of the board members. That's how all this friction occurs.
Thank you. Yes.
This is wonderful for a second opportunity. I appreciate a second wind. Thank you so much. First of all, the chair also was a political candidate, and I want to comment before you now that I find that it's because of the chair's behavior and actions that the board has become political. I find that you will see examples of, if you are a supporter of the chair, you can speak without the bell going off, and there's no protocol. I try to speak and the bell goes off. Number one, that's political. That's politicizing that board, that very board. When we have the EVA development plan, Mr. O'Milda mentioned, the chair said, I'll put it on the March agenda. It wasn't on the March agenda. During the meeting, the majority of the board demanded it be put on. We won our way. We got it on the agenda. The chair refused to entertain it and adjourn the meeting. I could go on with 20 to 30 examples of how that's politicizing this meeting, of how that's the disturbance. So I want to thank you and let you know that if the antecedents to all this has to do with exactly that. We've missed deadlines to comment on Ho'opili. We have missed deadlines to comment on the EVA development plan, and that's the symptom of a dysfunctional community, because the person at the helm has refused to allow us to entertain it. And I mean refused. That's the result of us before you today. That's the symptom. Diagnosis, prognosis, however you want to take it. Please, please do not sanction us. Please let us conduct business. I will bet that you could take a vote and replace the chair. You will see conformity, productivity, and adherence, so long as there's going to be training for us, training for this, and the chair gets to be the one bad apple on the tree, the whole tree falls down. Thank you.
Thank you again for the second time for coming up here. My name is Celeste LaCuesta again, if you forgot about it. I'm here to oppose the January 2010 meeting. We do need a meeting because we do need to go on. We do have some bills that we want on our CIP. We do have a lot of things that need to be discussed for Ewa Beach because we have nothing for 2009. We want something on for 2010. And, you know, we do, like I said, we do have a lot of things to cover. Now, I do want to go ahead and let you know that I hope each and every one of you view every video, because you're going to see the discrepancy, the negligence of our chair throughout from January until January today. You're going to see how nothing was ever discussed to put on our CIP bill for Ewa Beach, and from my understanding, we have none for the city. We have not, I mean, there's a lot of things that needs to be discussed and repaired in Ewa Beach. So I would humbly ask for you not to, I oppose on having a meeting for January. We need to get on business as usual. And the only thing that I do ask of you is to try to resolve on what kind of issues that we have on our board. And that's about what I could say. But I want to get on with business. The rest of the members feel the same way. And we cannot neglect Ewa Beach even for 1 month. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, sir. Are you?
Aloha, Mike Kako. My name is John Golner, and I have regularly attended as part of either my duties or as a member 12 of our neighborhood boards on Oahu since 2004, including Ewa Beach. I've served twice as chair. I was vice chair of the McCully Moili Neighborhood Board, but I'm speaking in my individual capacity. And first, I want to say that most of all, you're going to. I would also echo that. I hope everyone takes a very look at all of the footage that you have in front of you. But I must disagree with one point that's been brought up. With every member of the Ewa Neighborhood Board that sits behind me, and I do mean every member, I have personally worked with each of them, and I personally believe that each of them has the best interest of the community at heart when they got into this and has something solid to offer. And I would personally say that each member of the Ewa Neighborhood Board sitting here tonight has done good things for the community, and I have seen them do it firsthand. So there are many good intentions here. There is just a couple of things that I've seen that I've not seen in any of the other neighborhood boards I've attended or any of the other meetings. And one of those was the friction and the strife that was caused by the videotaping of the meeting. I understand that there are certain parameters and courtesies that must be followed, but I would implore you to, and for all of us, to be very careful when we start to set restrictions on what can be recorded and what cannot be recorded. I think it's reasonable that a public meeting can be recorded as long as it's done in a courteous manner. I think that the reaction that took place at the Ewa Neighborhood Board it was a bit out of sorts. And I've not seen a reaction like that in my short 6 years of going to neighborhood boards. One other thing I've also never seen, I've never seen a board member made to walk up to the podium to give a concern, to give a concern that the board member had. I've never seen a board member implored to leave the board table and walk up to the podium to be asked to speak, to give a concern. And that may have been an oversight, and I'll have to believe that's the case, but I've just never seen that before in any other board meeting. Finally, I would say that whatever action the commission does choose, I hope that it will do it quickly. Because as everyone's mentioned tonight, Ewa Beach, there's so much going on, there's so much happening, and residents are depending upon all levels of their government to step in for them and to be looking out for them, because so much is happening on the Ewa Plain. So whatever happens, I hope that it happens quickly and comprehensively. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dudley.
Good evening, Commission members. My name is Dr. Keone Dudley. I am a member of the Kapolei, Makilo, and Ponokai Hale Neighborhood Board, as many of you are aware. I just would like to say that I've attended a number of the meetings in Ewa Beach, and I think that there are some things that are not being really brought out here. You know, the elephant in the room is the rail. The elephant in the room is Ho'opili. The elephant in the room is the Ewa Development Plan. The Ewa Development Plan is to come before this board either in January or February. It's a very important thing. The question that arises to me is, why is all this taking place now? You know, is this a way of setting the Ewa Board aside for a few months while we get things pushed through that they should have been considering? I think it's terribly important that this board continue to meet. I think it's terribly important that their agenda be opened up. What is not being recognized here is the frustration this board has because the last two board members, the last two board chairs, have not allowed things to be considered at the board. Now, I must admit that Ho'opili was considered, but it was a special meeting, you know, and very few people came to that meeting. I want to just raise the question of corporation or people, which goes first? Which goes first? Government is government of the people, by the people, and for the people, or is government an entity where government does what government wants? Okay, I think these are real questions that need to be asked here. Is it possible that what's happening right now is this commission is meeting at this time because it is government that wants certain things, and this board stands in a way of accomplishing those things? I think that at the next couple of meetings, they're going to be coming to grips with the Ewa Development Plan. They're going to be coming to grips with rail. They're going to be coming to grips with Ho'opili. It's very important that their voice be heard for the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dudley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, Scott Belford, and just a very quick comment. I think that what may be obfuscated with all the issues is that before the community of Ewa Beach, on the publicly released agenda, both in November and December, was the removal of the sitting board chair. The average member of the public who has limited time during his or her commute and family obligations expects that when he or she receives this agenda that it will be adhered to, or that there will be a proper and transparent process to reorder the agenda. It should come as no surprise to this commission that extraordinary actions and behaviors have taken place at the last two board meetings, arguably because the very issue that many are seeking to address, the behavior of an elected chair and the right to remove that chair as part of an agenda item, has been completely, the process has been destroyed. The fact that I am defending my right to bring a camera into the meeting and I have to decide when to call the police and what evidence to prepare because I was threatened, completely obfuscates what the members of the public were expecting, which is some adherence to an agenda. And I would beg you to consider how important it is that we adhere to an agenda, and it is quite possible that democracy and due process will lead to the resolution of the very problems that are presented to you tonight. So please make note that on the agenda in November and December was the removal of this chair, and it is remarkable that we have been able to reach that agenda item. Thank you for your time.
On the kangaroo court, rushing to judgment without the full facts being heard. There's a great deal of liability in such if that should succeed, and I urge the commission to think about that. I've also emailed again Mayor Hanneman to that effect, that there's a great deal of liability involved in here. If things should be done immorally and illegally to remove the chair without proper education of the board, without proper vetting of the board, liability exists. Liability from any person on the board, as well as anybody in the community that's hurt by having continued meetings. So again, I would suggest that you discontinue the meetings until proper and adequate education is given to every board member.
Thank you.
Thank you guys again. My name is Kurt Fivello. This is the reason why, commissioners, I strongly suggest we reevaluate the whole board. We just all watched the video. We all watched the November meeting when it was requested to remove the request for removal of me by Celeste Cuesta because time was consuming, right? The meeting went through in November. It wasn't adjourned because it was a minor removal. October meeting, I left sick. They tried to remove me then. It didn't pass. The December meeting, it was on the agenda for request of removal. Request of removal. So I don't know where's the misconception. When I talked to Brian and I talked to Joan, of course they didn't want to put the request of moving me, but they said that I needed to do that, to follow that. So I tried to do the best I can. But I guess what our board members is not understanding, and that's the reason why I think we need to get together as a board and with the commission to get a little bit more educated. The request was, I wasn't going to get voted off that night. There was a following agenda that was going to be put on for my removal. So even if it was on the December one, and they voted in there, it would have been on January's agenda. Same for it and for it on. But what I'm saying is that this is the reason why I feel that we need to stay whole and get together so that we can all be on the same page. Because even if we watch that, people still interpret what they had seen. I mean, that's what's shown in the November meeting. He just showed it here to you commissioners. So we're having all kinds of outside and inside grumbling, but I think we need to get together as a board for the betterment of the community to know all what are we doing here. Are we here to self-serve, or are we here to serve the community? So I feel that on the best interest for our community, that you guys should consider. I mean, I was sitting there and listening to all of this. I really think that we should have a timeout so that we can at least get together and maybe February, get back on the ball and get things done. But that's for my opinion. And I appreciate you guys' time again, and thank you.
Thank you.
Again. I do agree with Kurt that we all need to get together as a team, because so far we are not a team. I sit on the board and I don't say nothing. I just basically observe, and what I do know is that, and what you may have seen is a lot of our members and a certain community person would always get, okay, that's it, or, you know, we don't even get to finish completely what we want to say, whether they're grumbling or not. And I think it's important that everyone is heard in our meeting. And like I said, I don't say anything, and I, you know, just observe. And I think that's what's important, is that he only hears what he wants to hear. Nothing personal against Kurt. Like his sister says, they are longtime family friends of my family. But it's only fair that everyone gets heard without him interrupting anyone. And if I could, when Mr. Belford came up here announcing his threat, I did see Mr. Kobilin laughing at it, and that's not right. That is wrong. Well, everybody else brought up a name. Oh, okay. Well, he's a board member that threatened Mr. Belford, and he's sitting next to Mr. Favela. So that's wrong.
Thank you. Sir.
Hello, I'm Roger LaFesta. I'm a board member. We tried to take a vote how many times because we have the majority to just change the chair so we can go a different direction. Every time we came up to vote, something came up. And I think that maybe we need a change just to get in a new direction. And I'm not saying I'm right, my wife is right, or Kurt is right, or Ed is right, but basically we have the same thing, you know, to make Ewa Beach good. But it seems like it's going on in the wrong direction. But we need to take a vote and settle this once and for all already. That we can get on with business. Because right now the community is all upset with us. And I feel like we look like goats or clowns on TV, and it's kind of embarrassing. We should move forward and take a vote and move on with a new chair. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. I'm Mike Beloyu. I'm here as an individual, but I also sit on the Makakilo Kapolei Neighborhood, Honokai Hale Neighborhood Board. And I've listened to all this, and I definitely agree with Tom Heinrich that this board needs to take some action to initiate a hearing because of everything I've heard tonight. So the board doesn't, and whatever it is, like Jeanette mentioned, you need to make it mandatory if it's going to be training. Just like it didn't happen to a certain member, one who already left tonight, that need training. And it's required. I mean, people are interrupting everybody, people aren't following parliamentary procedures, and even though we have our own issues on our board, people at least listen, or at least most of them listen, and that things continue on and we get action done. So something needs to happen with Neighborhood Board number 23. It really does, so they can be productive in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Yeah. Okay, if there's no one else from the audience, the commission, we're now in discussion. So there's been a lot presented, and just to refresh everybody's memory, there's actually 2 action items that were being requested to look at on the agenda. The first is to determine whether or not to direct the executive secretary to initiate the sanctions hearing procedures. And the second is whether to authorize the executive secretary to send a letter offering the commission's assistance in conducting future meetings of the Ewa Neighborhood Board. So that's what we have before us right now.
In the process of doing the hearing process, the board would have to meet, right? As we send to them the complaints that were given, they would have to meet and they would have to vote yea or nay on the complaints that were sent in to start the process.
I'm doing okay. No, thank you.
Sorry, you know.
See, our chairman doesn't even listen to me.
Sorry, not full attention.
You know what I said?
It's functional? It's functional?
Yeah, doesn't the board have to meet in order to
Start the process.
The Ewa Board.
To start the initiation of the sanctions hearing process? No.
Okay.
That's initiated solely on our end.
Change. Yeah. Because before it was, we would have to go to the board.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a point for discussion.
What I'm wondering is there seems to be about 9 members of the board here. I wonder how they would feel expressing themselves, whether they should be a timeout or go ahead and have a meeting and everybody try to get along one more time. If it doesn't work, then I think the commission is probably going to...
Then we're going to dissolve the board. We're going to get a petition and dissolve the board.
So I guess that's
just an idea.
Okay, the commission's in discussion.
Sorry.
Anyone else? Any other members?
Chair, I'd like to hear some legal opinion in the executive session about what we can really do. Because there's been a lot brought up. It refers to other parts of the plan that we didn't discuss earlier.
As far as our options in regards to potential sanctions or initiating the process?
Initiating the process. What process we want to initiate.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. You can make the motion to move to executive session.
Motion to move to executive session.
And specifically for what purpose?
To find our options on which way we proceed with either sanctions or sanction hearing or other options in the neighborhood plan.
Okay, a motion has been made to move into executive session to go over our legal options with our corporation counsel as far as our ability or authority to enter or initiate the sanctions hearing process. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Let's do a oral vote on this one. All in favor? All in favor of the entering into executive session? Say aye. All opposed? Okay. Please let the record reflect the votes of each commission member. We're now going into executive session pursuant to section 92-584 of the Hawaii Revised Statutes to consult with the commission's attorney on questions and issues pertaining to our legal authority to initiate the sanction hearing.
Either you need one or you don't, brother. I need to ride me to ride on top of the bed.
Nice to see you. Except for the
Bye. Can we get the photo? Okay, it's the man. Put it on the agenda. We gotta make this.
As a point of clarification, the acting chair of the neighborhood commission has told me that the camera cannot be moved, especially if it's being used to take pictures. I wasn't able to record that comment.
I'd like to move that the commission accept the executive secretary's recommendation that the commission conduct a hearing to determine whether sanctions as provided under neighborhood plan section 218-204 should be imposed on the other neighborhood board number 20. I second it.
Okay, we have motion made and a second. We're now in deliberations. Any further discussion on the motion? Being no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, as far as the second item for action, it was whether to authorize the executive secretary to send a letter offering the commission's assistance in conducting future meeting of the Ewa Neighborhood Board. Do we have any discussion on that item? Do we have any motion on that item?
Motion to support the recommendation of the executive secretary to send a letter.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. There's been a motion made to authorize the executive secretary to send a letter offering the commission's assistance in conducting future meetings on the neighborhood board. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, let's get a show of hands. All in favor? Sorry. 5 in favor, all opposed? 2 opposed, the motion carries. 3 opposed, the motion carries. That's perfect.
Okay, good excuse.
Okay, the motion carries. I believe that is our last item of business. Announcements. The next regular commission meeting.
I've been trying to get this on the agenda, and I think we need to do an action on it, is that I've gotten a lot of emails from the chair of Neighborhood Board 35 in regard of what Neighborhood Board 25 is doing, because they filed another intervening status as a neighborhood board at the Land Use Commission. And what the Neighborhood Board 35, the Mililani Mocha Lawani Neighborhood Board would like, is a letter being sent out by our commission or co-counsel, just explaining the ramifications that it's not within the privilege of the neighborhood board, and what the ramifications would be.
Okay, so you'd like to add that to the next agenda?
Okay. Mr. Chair, can I be recognized?
Are you testifying on an agenda item? We're done with deliberations and discussion.
Well, I mean, I want to intervene in behalf of the, we have 7 of the 11 board members here. 7 of the 11 board members. And I want to intervene in their behalf of what you guys, it's only a suggestion. I mean, you guys can take it to heart, however you guys feel like it.
The deliberations have been closed, the motions have been made and carried. Discussion on those issues have passed. If you'd like to submit written testimony, well, you have that opportunity.
I don't want to pursue it anymore, but I don't think we'll, it's all right.
All right, thank you.